Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Next Level Contractor and One Exam Prep. And today we are talking about North Carolina Contractor Exam Prep. And we're here again with Andrew from One Exam Prep. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, no, thank you so much for having me back. Happy to be here as always.
Absolutely. Well, as you can see up on our screen, North Carolina has a lot of licenses. This is actually a screenshot from One Exam Prep's website. So you can see that One Exam Prep does have I believe, almost every license that a contractor license in the state, and all their packages and everything that are up on the up on the website. But Andrew, why don't we get into? I know you prepared a presentation for us today. Why don't we jump right into that?
Yeah. Brief presentation, fine points on the licensing process, how it goes.
Okay, great. Okay, how to pass the North Carolina contractor exam in 2026. All right, so Andrew, why don't we start at the beginning before someone even can even take the exam? I understand you need to actually get approval from the state. So what does that process look like?
Yep. So North Carolina pre-approval state. You gotta get approved before you take the exams. So it's application to the state. The application submitted online. As always with any application, the accuracy on it is key.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what you're looking at, North Carolina, interesting compared to almost every other municipality, every other state. There's no experience requirement. So that kind of lowers the bar to entry a little bit. But then you see there, kind of the middle of the slide, they do have some financial requirements. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a minimum net worth or a bond. So it's not anybody, right? You still have to have an established, business. They won't just give it to anybody, but no experience requirement, which is huge because, as you know, Noah, being around this for so long, there's a lot of guys out there who taken in another state where they require a signature. Well, their boss doesn't want the competition, so their boss isn't signing for them. In North
Right.
Carolina, don't have that problem.
Yeah, that's huge because we know that in many other states, passing the exams is hard, but that final step of getting the work experience, proving that work experience to the state is a big deal. So having that waived in North Carolina should open up the field. That's great. But I understand that commercial licenses are broken down into financial tiers. Can you explain the difference between the limited, intermediate, unlimited, and what kind of projects each one allows you to take on?
Absolutely. So you got the three tiers. Starting at the base level, you got the limited. Um, to get approved for a limited license, which would allow you to bid on projects up to 500,000, the state wants to see a net worth, a working capital of $17,000. Um, and you show that with them. The most common way would be a CPA reviewed financial statement. Um, Now, let's say I don't have a working capital of $17,000. I'm just starting out, getting my feet under me. Um, you do have the option. You can get a bond. The bond that they would require in lieu of that working capital is $175,000 surety bond.
Mm,
Now, with bonds, you renew them annually, but you don't pay 170. Obviously, you're not going to pay 175,000 for the bond, right? Bonds are 1%. It's 1% annually, so it's 1,750 bucks for that bond. Grand scheme of things, not a real barrier to entry to get yourself in
e-
the game there.
Especially, CPA reviewed financials are expensive. So, whether that's, that doesn't necessarily mean audited financials, which are really expensive, but just to get a CPA to sign off on your financials is probably going to cost you more than that, a couple of grand. So it sounds like that bond is a good option for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The bond, they're affordable. They're super
Mhm.
easy to get. Takes like 5 minutes,
And
and you're good to go.
and you guys can help with that as well, right?
Yeah, super easy. Super
Okay,
easy to do. Doesn't take 5 minutes.
great. Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. What kind of financial statements does the state require for higher level licenses? And can you use the bond also for the higher level licenses as well?
Yeah. So the next two levels of license, the final two, it's the intermediate where you can go up to $1 million per project, and then you got unlimited, where of course no restrictions on unlimited.
Mhm.
You can bond in to both of those levels, right? So, um, in theory, right, you can get in to the top level right away with the bond. You don't need to accrue that working capital. But intermediate level, they're looking for $75,000 working capital. Unlimited level, they're looking for 150,000 working capital. Now, again, can't stress this enough because it really is a nice way around that, especially if the business isn't as established. You haven't been in business many years, you just don't have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go in with the bonds. Intermediate bond, they require a $500,000 bond. You get that bond, it's 1%. 1% of the 500,000 a year, which, if my math is mathing, no, that's 5,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So not a small number, but not a huge number either when you
Yeah.
consider you can now bid on projects up to $1 million, right?
Yeah, those are big projects. Yeah. Commercial style projects. That's good. Okay. Yeah.
Same with the unlimited bond, not to cut you off there, but the unlimited bond for the no restricted license, it's $1 million. So 1% of that's 10K. 10K, not a small amount of money, but if you're bidding on projects over $1 million, grand scheme of things, it kind of is, right?
Yeah, you're going to need it anyway, so that makes sense. Okay, so fine. So workers' comp, you need if you have more than 3 employees, and liability insurance not required, but you will need. Yeah, absolutely. That's if you're not operating with general liability insurance and you're a contractor, then you're putting yourself at risk for sure. So I definitely agree with that. All right, so let's break into the exam now. So these are considered semi-open book. What does it actually mean for someone preparing to take the exam?
So anybody who's taken one of these exams elsewhere in the Southeast, they're used to a full open book exam where they get their candidate bulletin. It's got a list of books. They can bring every single one into the exam. North Carolina's exam's a little bit different. There's some books you can bring into the exam, and then they'll have books, suggested study references that aren't allowed into the exam. So semi-open book on the exams.
Right. Okay. Got it. And you're emphasizing here professionally highlighted and tabbed books. So what's the big advantage compared to someone who's trying to tab the book themselves?
Right. So the way to think about these exams, that even though they're semi-open book, is you want to treat them just like the open book exams, right? There's no reason that you should get any question wrong if it's coming from a book that you have in front of you, right? But you got to find those answers. So the highlighting and tabbing is key. And if it wasn't done accurately, if it wasn't done neatly, if it wasn't done in a way that's actually usable and efficient, it's a waste of time. We've seen books where all the tabs are overlapping. You can't even read what they say. They're useless. And we've seen books where, there's one thing highlighted in the whole book, useless. Or the other end of that, right? Everything's highlighted, useless, right? You want your books professionally tabbed and highlighted by someone who's going off a program that's laser focused in on your exam scope, hitting the most commonly referenced pertinent information.
Got it. So what does an effective study plan look like? Do you have to read cover to cover? What's your game plan?
So the joke I always go, if you're reading these books cover to cover, memorizing this information, you're working for NASA, Elon Musk. We landed on Mars 10 years ago. You did a great job. Thank you. Right. It's not about reading them cover to cover. It's about focusing on those areas that, again, are pertinent to your exam scope, right? Focused prep. It's why a lot of times just Googling questions for North Carolina building code, right? It's not going to help you because it's not going to be focused in on your exam scope. You're going to get overwhelmed with a bunch of things that aren't relevant to your exam, and you're going to wind up focusing on the wrong thing.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. So what are the key topics that you really need to focus on when studying?
So every exam is different. Every exam has a different scope depending on your specialty, right? The building exam is going to be different than the sewer exam, okay? Some of the books might overlap, but you're going to be focused on different sections, different parts of that book, right? So it's very important that you review the exam scope and you know what information, subjects are they actually going to be asking me about on this test, right? Step beyond that is trust experts like One Exam Prep, who this is what we do. We go through these scopes, we go through these books, and most commonly referenced pertinent information to your specific exam, highlight and tab for you. To your specific exam, here's practice questions, exam simulator, right? No guesswork.
Right. Okay. Got it. All right. Let's talk about NASCLA. So apparently North Carolina offers this unique option where contractors can take the NASCLA commercial general building exam instead of the North Carolina GC exam. Can you explain the difference and how that works?
Right. So if I'm just starting out and my sole focus of my business is going to be North Carolina, I don't have any plans to expand elsewhere. I want to take the North Carolina general building exam, right? It's one exam. It's a much smaller exam than the NASCLA exam. Gets me in the game in North Carolina with the same license that the NASCLA would get me. Now, if I'm perhaps coming in from Tennessee, South Carolina, right, somewhere else, I might already have the NASCLA scores to get licensed in that state, right? So North Carolina will accept those scores, and I would just have to apply once they approve me. I won't have to take a trade exam. I'll just have to take a small business law exam, very similar to the business law exam I might have took in Tennessee or South Carolina, right?
Right.
Other end of that is if you are just starting out, but North Carolina is just the beginning for you, the NASCLA exam would be one to consider because it's accepted by 17 states, right?
Right. And from what I know, it's accepted by the key border states of North Carolina, which are South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, those states that are, bordering it. So if you're on any of those borders, you're doing interstate work, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, absolutely. NASCLA gets you pretty much the entire Southeast, including Florida, which is a big one because nothing, if you tried,
Sure.
But including Florida, and I always like to say, Virgin Islands too,
Right. Does the state still require pre-approval before taking the business and law exam? And what does that approval process look like?
Yep. So if you're using your NASCLA scores in lieu of taking the North Carolina, the standard North Carolina GC exam, if you're going to use the NASCLA scores for that process, doesn't change. It's still the application where you're going to have to show the financials, the information about the business. And then once you're approved, you'll have to sit for that smaller business law exam. It's 40 questions, open book, 90 minutes they give you to get it done. Got to score 70%.
Right. Got it. Okay. And okay, so you've kind of gone through the process. It is the harder exam, though, in general, right? I mean, the NASCLA, if it is considered
the NASCLA is a more difficult exam. Right. It's NASCLA exams, 24 books, 115 questions, 330 minutes to get it done.
Right.
It's a difficult exam. As far as construction trade exams go, it's the biggest one that I'm aware of. It's a big boy for sure, but it's worth it in the end if you want to go into those other states because it's the last trade exam you're going to have to take.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know that you've told me in the past that, NASCLA contractors who are looking to get licensed in other states, you can tell that these are some of the more successful contractors because they have that mindset of they have unlimited growth potential and they know exactly what they need to do in order to enter a state and it's just cookie cutter at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So you guys prepared a little video here.
So before we wrap up here, I just want to show guys a preview of what a course for these exams would look like. This is our course for the North Carolina business law exam. So this is the exam you would take if you were going that NASCLA route that we discussed. So you log in, first thing the course is doing, laying the foundation, giving you all the background on the exam, the scope, right? Making sure you know what to expect, how to schedule it, right? Things like that, the test rules, all that stuff, right?
Right.
Then it's going to give you the highlighting and tabbing instructions for your books, right? Even if you bought the books pre-tabbed, pre-highlighted, you still want to review these book in hand, get those muscle memory going because it's the most commonly pertinent information to your exam scope. And there you see these are one exam preps, obviously, tabs and highlights, and they're very thorough. They're hitting, everything you need, nothing you don't.
Right.
Then it's practice, building that muscle memory. And they have the simulators where they're going to time you and grade you just like the real thing. But what's really awesome about one exam prep simulator specifically is if we get a question wrong, it tells us the exact location of the correct answer. And if it's a math question and we get it wrong, it's breaking down the math for us. So while that question's still fresh, we're learning, we're correcting ourselves rather than all the way at the end after we just did long practice exam. And,
Mhm.
it's much more helpful seeing that correction right after the question.
Right. Okay. Great. Well, it sounds like it's very thorough, so that's good. Um, yeah, just wrapping up here. I just want to give everybody contact information for you and for your team. You can reach Andrew at oneexamprep.com. They got a special code, NC 2026. You can use either on the website or when you call into the sales team. They can help you with any of the dozens of licenses and there are, from what I saw, there are packages, numerous packages available depending on your study style or how you want to study. NC 2026, 10% off. And the phone number to call is going to be 980-550-5415. Andrew, any last thoughts?
No, just, this is One Exam Prep. This is what we do. We take a lot of pride in helping contractors. For us, it's all about actually seeing them through to the end, getting our folks licensed. We take a lot of pride in that. It's what sets us apart. It's why our instructors have office hours. It's why we assign every student a guidance counselor to walk with them through the process, eliminate all the unknowns, all the uncertainty. So all the student really has to worry about is their part, studying and passing these exams.
Great. All right. Well, good luck to everybody this year or next on getting your North Carolina contractor exam, and make sure to reach out to One Exam Prep and Andrew and his team if you need any help. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Noah.